Good evening, everyone, and welcome into the QUSE studios. This is your host, Sam Marteka, and tonight we have a special breaking news report on this edition of News at Night. The Daily Orange has reported that alumni of Syracuse University are currently involved in a movement to remove the statue of Jim Brown on Syracuse campus. Tonight, we will explore Brown's collegiate and professional athletic career, his social work and philanthropy throughout his life, and also examine some critical controversies Brown went through that serves as the basis of the movement to remove his statues and other acknowledgments to him across campus. Jim Brown was a legendary athlete at Syracuse University and went on to become an NFL Hall of Fame running back for the Cleveland Browns. According to OrangeHoop.net, Brown, although famous for football, also played basketball and lacrosse and ran track at Syracuse. His most impressive season had to have been his senior year, as he was an All-American in both football and lacrosse, scoring 14 touchdowns and rushing for almost 1,000 yards in 8 football games, while leading the Orange to a 10-0 record in lacrosse. According to Pro Football Reference, Brown's NFL career kicked off with him being selected 6th overall in the 1957 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns. In his career, Brown ended up rushing for over 12,000 yards in 9 seasons, winning 3 AP MVP awards, earning 9 Pro Bowls and 8 All-Pro selections. This culminated in a Hall of Fame selection in 1971 for Brown, and it is safe to say that his football career was legendary both in college and the NFL. According to Rolling Stone, Brown founded the Black Economic Union in the 1960s, its mission to foster the growth of black-owned businesses, and AmeriCAN in the 80s, which mentors youth in both inner cities and prisons. AmeriCAN became much more prominent in Brown's life as he prioritized that over his economic goals. According to Michael O'Keefe of the New York Daily News, Brown said, "I was doing economic development for minorities. I was getting black folks to use their dollars to help each other. I looked up and saw black men killing each other over red and blue. Until we did something about that, there was no use for economic development." The same article by O'Keefe states, Brown got deeply involved in gang culture and politics. He invited hundreds of gang members to his home to break bread and discuss the conflicts that were sparking violence on the street. AmeriCAN has touched the lives of gang members, prison inmates, ex-cons, at-risk kids, and thousands of other people since Brown founded it nearly 25 years ago. It operates programs in more than a dozen states, including New York and New Jersey. All of Brown's work led him to receive the Arntz Award from Syracuse in 2016 for excellence in athletics and social activism, according to Syracuse University. Yes, Jim Brown certainly had aspects of his life on and off the field that support his incredible legacy as a human being. Up to this point, you might be asking, well, why would alumni ever consider removing his statue from campus? Despite all the success Jim Brown had over his life, episodes of domestic abuse have ruined his image. According to CNN, in July of 1965, a jury finds Brown not guilty of assault and battery against 18-year-old Brenda Ayers after an incident in his hotel room. According to Cleveland.com, Brown testified during his trial that he knew her and she visited his room, but he never said he assaulted her or had sex with her, as she alleged. A more gruesome incident involving a model named Ava Bonchin occurred in 1968. According to CNN, Brown is charged with assault with intent to commit murder after Ava Bonchin is found beneath the balcony of Brown's second-floor apartment. The charge is later dismissed after Bonchin refuses to name him as her assailant. 1985 brought on another instance, as according to CNN, Brown was charged with raping and assaulting a 33-year-old woman in his home. The judge later dismissed the charges based on inconsistent testimony. Then in 1999, according to CNN, Brown was arrested and charged with making terroristic threats toward his wife. About 3 months later, a jury finds Brown guilty of vandalism for smashing his wife's car with a shovel. He is later fined $1,800 and sentenced to 3 years probation, 1 year of domestic violence counseling, and 400 hours community service or 40 hours on a work crew. Many of the cases against Brown, besides the vandalism case in 1999, ended up going nowhere in court, as there were either problems with testimonies, victims deciding not to go through with the cases, or not enough evidence. This does not acquit Brown in the eye of the public, and is the main reason behind some SU alumni pursuing the removal of the statues of Brown. We are here live at Syracuse University in front of the very Jim Brown statue that the two alumni are trying to take down. The two alumni spearheading the movement are Samantha Scholar and Seth Kwan. The two wrote a letter to SU Chancellor Kent Severud, the Task Force on Sexual and Relationship Violence, and the Council on Diversity and Inclusion about the issue. The two alumni have organized multiple meetings with administrators regarding this issue over the past year or so. According to the Daily Orange, Scholar said Severud told the pair, quote, he refuses to put up or sign off on any visual representations of a person without a thoroughly researched investigation to make sure they have no history of sexual or relationship violence. To me, that's a win, Scholar said. Even if the statue and all these visual representations of Jim Brown don't get taken down, that's still a win for me. And now, Sam, let's take it back to you in the studio. Scholar and Quam wrote in the letter that, quote, we asked Syracuse University formally and publicly address Jim Brown's history of sexual and domestic violence. We would like your consideration on how Jim Brown is represented in campus culture, specifically looking at his statue, his Arntz Award, and the branding of the number 44 in general. This article comes to light in the middle of a movement that has taken the country by storm, the Me Too movement. According to a scholarly paper by Leslie Tenzer of Pace University, in October 2017, a social movement erupted out of the unacceptable exercise by men of their power over female subordinates. The Me Too movement exposed the widespread prevalence of sexual harassment, sexual abuse, and sexual violence that women experience in the workplace. In society today, there is a large microscope under issues like these, and they are being taken more and more seriously as more people have come out with their stories. Brown's history with domestic and sexual abuse in the past 50 years is not a good one, and the points raised by Quam and Scholar are extremely valid. Another movement related to the Jim Brown case discussed here tonight is the one centered around the removal of different historical statues in the U.S. According to Soren Larson and Jay Johnson in their scholarly article, dozens of Confederate memorials across the United States have been removed or slated for removal. Collectively, these efforts represent a nationwide movement whose aim is to show the public how these sites glorify and assert white supremacy, not just in the Jim Crow era when most were erected, but in the present day. The Jim Brown controversy has the same sort of feel to it. Issues about an immortalized figure were raised about their character/life, and some wish for the statue to be removed. That's all we have for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Signing off from QUSD Studios, this is your host, Sam Marteka. Good night, Orange Nation.